Good morning and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Prashant Mavani. Today is 18th February. Day is Tuesday. We have a very interesting article on CRPF today. May the force be strengthened. We are going to go through some important facts about CRPF. Then we will talk about some of the issues and solutions, of course. But before that, I would like to introduce all of you to our pen drive and tablet courses, which are available for various different exams. They are designed by the best faculties of our country, and with the help of our pen drive and tablet courses, there are thousands of students who have cracked various different competitive exams. You can purchase them from StudyIQ.com. To download the PDF of today's lecture, you have two sources. Please make sure that you share this lecture with other students. Hit the like button if you have learned something from today's discussion, and please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. May the force be strengthened. It's about CRPF. Do you know earlier on CRPF was known as, or it was a Crown Representative Police. I'm talking about British Raj era. After independence, it was decided that law and order will be looked after by state governments, or you can say it was placed in the state subject. We have three lists. I'm sure you'd be aware about this thing. We have one concurrent list, we have a state list, and we have one union list. So law and order falls under state list or state. It is basically a state subject. So state governments are responsible for law and order. So when this was decided at that point of time, this discussion was going on whether we need CRP or Crown Representative Police. Do we need a central police force? And many people were against this idea of a central police force, but Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, who was then Deputy Prime Minister as well as Home Minister, he argued vehemently and boldly in the favor of CRP. And then later on we got the CRPF, that is the Central Reserve Police Force. CRP used to have just 2 battalions, but CRPF at present it has 3.5. We got 3.5 lakh strong soldiers. They are part of this CRPF. We have some specialist wings as well, like Rapid Action Force. We have Cobra, that is Commando Battalion for Resolute Action. We have a Special Duty Group as well. So this CRPF is a Central Paramilitary Force, very important force. And let me tell you one more thing, that if you are preparing for Civil Services Examination, I'm talking about UPSC, if you go through your syllabus, you will find paramilitary forces, their roles and their functions and other important things. So this article is very important for your UPSC exams too. Now, it is the largest paramilitary force in the world, and no other security force of the country has seen expansion at such a rapid pace. These are some important facts, right, that we are going through. Providing integrated security to a diverse country of a continent size. Our country is quite diverse, as you know. We have different challenges in different parts of our country. For example, few states are suffering from this red corridor Maoist attacks. Few corridors or few states are suffering from terrorism and other things. Then we find protests and other things going on in different parts of our country. Then we have elections, and so this force is quite flexible, it is versatile, as well as it is strong too. It is also known as peacekeeper of the nation. And on 9th April every year we celebrate Valor Day. This has been celebrated by CRPF because it was on this day in 1965 that an ordinary battalion of CRPF repulsed an attack by a Pakistani brigade. 21st October is celebrated as Commemoration Day. I'm sure you'll be aware about this place, right? It's in Leh, Hot Spring, it's known as. And in 1959, Chinese army attacked us, and our CRPF personnel made a supreme sacrifice. However, this glowing track record pales into insignificance when we consider the mass casualties the force has had to suffer. It's very sad that in 2010, 75 soldiers were killed by Maoists in Dantewada area. Pulwama attack, of course, a recent past, and it's a big attack, and The only positive side that I see in this Pulwama attack is that, of course, it's a very unfortunate event. Means we don't have words to express, but the only positive side that we see is civil society, political leadership, all stakeholders. They were there and they are there for our CRPF personnel. We have a very special place for our soldiers, isn't it? So the whole nation was standing with the family members of the soldiers after this Pulwama attack, and we know what we did after Pulwama. Things have changed. So a year after the attack, it is time for the nation to take a re-look at the main agency dealing with the conflicts in different territorial zones. Now, the big problem or the challenges that are faced by the soldiers as well as the CRPF is lock, stock and barrel. Means, you have to travel from one place to another, different challenges you have to go through. And, for your family life as well, for your personal, psychological well-being, we find lots and lots of challenges, and this is visible from this fact that there are high number of suicide cases and fratricides. Fratricides is when CRPF personnel are killing their colleagues. Brawls and fights. They end up into a murder. And all these things are taking place because somewhere down the line we are not looking after our soldiers that well. There are so many things that we have to change. Like they stay away from their family members for a very long period of time. And this thing affects their psychological needs, that tender loving care that we need as human beings. We are, at the end of the day, social animals, isn't it? And if you have watched this film called American Sniper, it's a Bradley Cooper's film, outstanding film, and this film, it's not just about snipers. It's more about, if you analyze this film, then you find that it's also about a life of a soldier after once this fight and flight mode that we have. Means it's difficult to explain, but anyway, I'll try. Right? See, when you're like, all of a sudden you find a snake nearby you, then you won't think whether this is a poisonous, a venomous snake or not. You will just jump and you will run away from that snake, and that is flight or fight mode. It's very automatic in our brain, in our head. So when you are posted in a place where you are surrounded by Maoists, you don't know when the next attack is going to take place. You are always on this fight or flight mode. Then your fingers are constantly on this trigger guard. So your body behaves in a very different way. Your blood pressure is altogether on a different. Your digestion and your whole system. You are not normal, basically. You are in a battlefield. So once you are out from that battlefield, once you reach in a social environment, what happens is, because you have been in this fight or flight mode for a very long period of time, and that becomes your new normal. So it will not turn off. It will stay on even when you are in a safe environment. And then this will create, people around you will think that you are behaving very badly and oddly, but you don't have any control because your flight and fight mode is on. So I hope this thing is, of course, not covered in this article, but it is for you guys to understand. So this is a big problem, and Home Minister has recently said that our CRPF Jawans would get to spend 100 days with their families every year. Now, this looks a bit impossible, judging by the size of our force and the work they have to do. I seriously hope that they get this 100 days off in a year. But let's hope how it will be. Let's wait and watch. Let's hope that it will be implemented. Let's wait and watch how it turns out. In this article, the writer is also talking about various different phases. What happens is you recruit one young soldier, and then this soldier will be on duty for a very long till he retires. So this is not how it should be. Means his duties should be divided like first 15 years of services. He should be trained. He is fighting fit. So he should be deployed in all these anti-insurgency roles and tough roles where physical activity is highly required. Then later on, the next 10 years, he should be given border duties where you can use your cars and you can travel from one place to another. And it's much more. I'm not saying it's easy, but compared to this anti-insurgency role, it is much easier, less physically demanding. And then last phase should be static duties, where you can, do desk job and other things. This is something that is missing. American soldiers, American government, as well as some other developed countries, right? What they do is when their soldiers are back from this battlefield, they are been sent to different programs, rehab programs, sort of things. I'm not the right word is not rehab, but it's a sort of rehabilitation program where you can play sports. You don't have to, you can relax. You can play games with your buddies, and you do meditation, yoga, watch films, read books, all these sort of things. And this sort of things will basically take you out from that fight and flight mode, and gradually, incrementally, you will be made fit for society, for social life. This is something is missing here, right? Then canteen facilities, one rank, one pension, looking after our soldiers very well. They should, never be short of money because they are risking their lives and they are giving their peak years for our country. So we should look after them very well. And one more topic, one more important thing that this writer has said is that any force is best guarded by officers born on the cadre. What happens is because CRPF is under this Home Ministry and it's a paramilitary force, so many IPS officers are deputed on this CRPF and ITBP and other places. Now, there's nothing wrong with IPS officers, but the thing is, you need to have those personnel, those people taking charge of or reaching at the very top of this pyramid, who have already been there with your force right from the beginning. So if an IPS officer is deployed right from the first post, if that person is with CRPF, then yes, he or she would be knowing in and out about the CRPF. But what happens when you place someone who has looked after law and order, who has worked as a normal police guy, and then you post him or her for CRPF duty, then this is the thing that creates a bit of problem. So we need to change this thing as well. So basically, we have talked about so many things, right? The things that are required, the things that needs to be changed. We have gone through some facts as well. So I hope things are clear to you. Now let's go through some editorials, right? We have a royal mess, and we have talked about it yesterday. It's about the telecom industry. Telecom industry is a very, very important industry. It plays a very important role in the development of it has played. In fact, it has proven its mettle in the development of our country. You and I are having this conversation via this platform is possible because of this telecom industry, particularly after the introduction of Geo. There has been a gradual rise in the way we are using internet. You see the things that have changed. WhatsApp, we have Facebook, and we have Twitter, and it's not just about Facebook and Twitter, it's also about apps that we are using. The facilities, this data that we are consuming, we have started consuming, and the way it has shaped our lives, so it has a profound effect, of course. But now this sector that has played a very important role, it is in a very big problem. It's suffering, it's going through a very big trouble. The court is angry on this telecom sector for not complying with its order. The court is right. Court is also right to take this stand. If court will behave leniently, court has to it's very technical thing. You cannot of course there are emotions and other things. There is a thing called compassion as well, but it's not that courts are being too harsh. There are a few problems from telecom side as well, and the government is in a very catch-22 situation. Like, it needs revenue, at the same time it has to make sure that this different players, they don't die, right? They don't shut down. And we also need telecom services for smooth running of our profession, jobs, business, etc. Now, Bharti Airtel has paid 10,000 crore rupees on Monday with the promise of paying the rest before mid-March, when the court will hear the case next. As far as Vodafone Idea is concerned, it's in a very bad shape as far as finances are concerned. Vodafone Idea, the only hit, the one hit the most by the judgment on Monday, sought more time, but the court has rejected to entertain its plea, and the company eventually paid 2,500 crore by the evening. Now, when I said that telecom companies as well, they are in this situation because of what they did earlier on, or what they have not done. They could have paid up their annual dues over the years, which were not material in relation to their respective turnovers, under protest, even as they litigated the case in the top court. That would have obviated the need to pay interest and penalties now, which are higher than actual dues. Actual dues were not this big. Interest and penalties made this dues big, or this total AGR big. And telecom companies, when they were having money, they were not paying it. They were delaying it for last roughly 15-20 years. And now look at their situation. Now, we have to also make sure the government, when I say we, I mean to say the government has to make sure that this Vodafone Idea, right, we don't want we don't want to see the death of this company, because 15,000 direct jobs, several thousands more indirect jobs, cascading effect on economy. 30,000 crore rupees has been borrowed from bank. What will happen with those banks? And then these banks will go down. It will take other sectors with it. So we don't want to see this situation. And what will happen to 212 million Vodafone subscribers? Then there is a big question of 5G, introduction of 5G. 5G is going to bring big revolutions. And we don't want to see our country falling behind other countries in this 5G introduction. So the government has to therefore examine what it can do to save the situation without disrespecting the court. March 17 is the next date for hearing, and let's hope that the government comes out with some sort of solution. Moving on to next item, it's about women at arms. This one is about this SSC, Short Service Commission. If you go through today's the Hindu newspaper first page, or other newspapers first page, you will find this item that the Supreme Court has delivered a sharp rebuke to the government by asking it to adhere to its own stated policy back in 2019, 25th February 2019 to be precise. Government itself granted this permanent commission to women in SSC, but it took ages to implement it. And though women are absorbed into the SSC, they are now denied permanent commission in most branches of the army. Now, if you go through the constitution of our country, we find that the principle of equality and non-discrimination is these two items are clearly enshrined in our constitution. And this stereotypes of women and their psychological feature has been with us for a very long period of time. And the big problem here is that when we used to live in caves, human beings, when we used to live in caves at that point of time, tools that we used to use were different, right? They were more designed for men. I'm talking about this primitive life. But in modern life today, if you see the pen that you are using, the book that you are using, the water bottle, or maybe your aircraft, your battle tank, your mobile phones, just go through the items that you can see around you, from motorcycles to bicycles and cars, right? All these things that we are using are unisex. We never think like it, but if you go through, even guns as well, guns, swords, everything is unisex. It's not designed just for men. Means any human being, if trained properly, can use it. So this physiological feature thing is something that is not valid now, right? 5,000 or maybe 8,000 years ago, it was a valid thing, but not in today's era. As long as society holds strong beliefs about gender roles, there will not be change of mindsets at the top court has observed. And on 26th January, during our celebration of Republic Day, I forgot the name of the lady, but this woman officer, she was parading, and one of my colleagues, Siddhant Agnihotri, has made a biography on that woman officer. And I was going through her interview, and she said that it's not about male or female, right? If your superior officer, if you know that your superior officer is capable, if he or she is there because of his proven capabilities, right, then you will take orders. You will do exactly what he or she is telling you. So it's in uniform services. It's not about male or female. It's about your capabilities. If you have proved your capabilities, then your subordinates will take your orders very positively. The court has forced acknowledgement of sterling role women have played and continue to play shoulder to shoulder with their male counterparts for the security of the nation. On 15th August 2018, Mr. Modi also talked about this permanent commission, that it will be granted to serving women, but it's very sad that finally Supreme Court has to intervene. This battle is going on since 2003. Hats off to those officers who have been, consistent, and they have gone through all these ups and downs. And Delhi Court as well has, Delhi High Court has, Delhi High Court has, its verdict was in favor of women, but then as well it was not implemented. So finally Supreme Court has taken a stand, and you have like 3 months time now. Moving on to next items, but before that, let me tell you, this article here is about the politics of USA. This one is about politics of Germany. I'll ask you one question. Germany is a European country, so can you give me the names of the other nations that share border with Germany? Right, send your answers in the comment section. And we are going to go through these two articles now. This one is about India's disturbing trauma narrative, and this one is about protecting child's right to protest. Now, a few days ago, I think a few weeks ago, we talked about this Bidar, Karnataka, a school where this skit was going on, and finally police came in, and the mother of a child was arrested. Unfortunately, this mother is a single parent, and this left the child in the care of the neighbor. The child said that I felt lonely and sad because all I have is my mother. I have never lived without her for a single day, so I was terrified. The arrest of the principal of their school left all the children without their trusted headmistress. So this article is talking about, it's not just about it's not defaming police. It's not it's more than that. This incident of Bidar school is very sad, and it's also about violation of fundamental rights. We have damaged the police. They have damaged the mental health of the school going children in this school. Not just this school, the other schools around it as well. They have this. They know what happened in this school now. There are so many kids, they are not going to school after this incident. The most damaging kind of trauma is that which results in toxic stress. Now, toxic stress is a term used to describe a child's experience of persistent adversity or abuse. And this is not just the only case. We see this sort of cases going on in different parts of our country. Muzaffarpur, Bihar, you know what happened with these young girls. They were locked up and they were raped as well. A few days ago, we saw this news item coming from Gujarat. Bhuj is a place in Gujarat. So, a used sanitary pad was found in the garden, and the school principal as well as school staff forced the 60 girls, they were asked to remove their innerwear to prove that they were not on their period. So this sort of things, right, they are very sad and quite, they create this stress when we even go through these items. Now, fear is a very positive thing. Fear helps us. It is one of the most important tools for our survival. It protects us. But when you have this constant fear, then it can create it can shake your life. It can shake your soul as well. There are times when the fear can have catastrophic consequences. When you are constantly threatening someone, when someone is constantly, this is just like fight and flight mode that we were talking about. Just imagine small kids going in there or staying in this fight or flight mode for a very long period of time, how it will affect their upbringing, how means in future they will be scared and they will become violent, and all these things, they have their roots in their upbringing. In the past week, a panel of Karnataka State Commission for Protection of Child Rights concluded that it is clear that the police violated the rights of the children at the Bidar school. And the writer here has clearly mentioned that this particular viewpoint or this article is not just about, it's not about taking sides. It's simply about upholding the foundations of the science, the law, the ethics, and ultimately our humanity. Moving on to next item, it's about protecting children's right to protest. Again, a very interesting article. Now, Shaheen Bagh, we know that demonstrations are going on for a long period of time now, and we have two unrelated issues. The sad thing is, unfortunately, an infant died in the cold during the protest earlier this month. Now, the courts or the system has put the blame on the mother, and it is alleged that the child died because of mother's negligence. But the question is, right, do we have childcare facilities, right? Do we have that good quality childcare facilities in our country, in our city area or in our rural area? Just imagine if this is, just forget about protest, right? For now, let's talk about some medical emergency. Let's imagine that a couple is living in a city like Delhi, right? They are living in a nuclear family. They have like a husband, wife, and they have a toddler or a small infant. Let's imagine. Now, for some strange reason, the mother, right, the wife has to go for some sort of surgery or something, or let's say medical checkup, and the husband will have to accompany her. Now, just imagine if the child is not keeping well on that particular day. What will happen? It will create lots and lots of stress on the family. They cannot leave their child anywhere. They have to ask the help of their relative or friends. And the way things are going on in our country, how can you trust someone these days? You find your relatives, and we find these cases, right, that small children are being abused and things like that by relatives and other people. So you can imagine what can happen, or is the situation of this couple living in this city area. So if this lady's lot, those who are protesting, whether they are right, wrong, I'm not going into that, but it is their right as far as we know, right? Article 19, it allows you freedom of speech, freedom to assemble peacefully and without arms. It's something that we find in Article 19. So they have this right, and they are doing this protest because it's not affecting you and I. Let's imagine that it's not affecting, because if it would have been affecting that much, then we won't be discussing. We would be engaged in a protest, isn't it? We would be furious. But if they are out there, then let's imagine that, or let's take it as this CAA and this NRC is affecting their life and they are protesting. Of course, it is their right to do that. Now, if they don't have any facilities, means they have to take their kids with them, isn't it? So this is one thing. The another angle that we have to look at it is from this United Nations Convention, Rights of the Child. And if you go through Article 19 as well, it's not, it is not barring kids. Like this right is guaranteed to all citizens of our country, regardless of their age. Even kids as well, they are part of this Article 19. They have this freedom. We have ratified this Rights of Children, CRC, and Article 13 gives this freedom to seek and receive, impart information, ideas of all kinds, regardless of frontiers, either orally in written or print form. And child's choice is also part of it, because it is rights of the child that we are talking about. There are some exemptions, but here the test of reasonableness is important. Further, the CRC Article 5, again, we have ratified this thing, so we are part of it. So It recognizes the evolving capacities of children. This means that children acquire enhanced competencies. There is a diminishing need for them to be protected. Article 12 of the CRC provides that the member states should assure that the child who is capable of forming his or her own views, the right to express those views freely. And many schools they encourage children to read newspapers, to watch news channels. So in the same way, attending a protest is also a way of a child receiving information and ideas. At the same time, just imagine if a child's one of the parent is illegal migrant. That means that the decision that will be taken against or on that on the case of his in this case of that particular parent will directly indirectly affect the child. So child has the right to be present there. And if children can take part in this anti-pollution protest like Greta Thunberg, and in our country as well we saw like candle marches against pollution, then why can't they take part in other items? So these are the things that are discussed in this article, and that's basically everything in today's discussion, dear friends. As you can see on your screen, you have some news items. Please make sure that you download the PDF of today's lecture and go through all these news items. They are important. And that's everything. I'll see you with daily financial news analysis today later on. Till then, enjoy your studies. God bless you all. Jai Hind.